Hi, Madeleine here from Sonic Bloom. This time we're going to look at the new browser changes in Ableton Live 12 and basically how it's supposed to function and all the changes you can make so you can actually make it work for you. This is especially for everyone who didn't like the changes all that much. That includes me. And I'm going to share how I'm making changes. It's still a work in progress, so that it actually really works for me. So let's start with how you can use the browser for searching. So there's two ways you can do it, either with the mouse or with the keyboard. Or you can also use a combination of both. With the mouse, the easiest is to actually select all if you haven't done that yet, because if you search for something, say under sounds, and you end up wanting something for audio effects, then all the tagging will not work. Let's start with all as selected, and then you can just select the tags that you want. So for example, let's say we want a preset that is MPE enabled for bass. And then here you can see it's actually got a subcategory of tags. And so we could say, okay, we want a synth bass. And then here now you can see which devices offer presets like that, and you could just try them out. In case you want to select two tags, you can use Control on Windows and Command on Mac to tag two. For most, that would lead you to no selections. With others, that it might. The most useful this is if you're looking for something in a particular key, because then you're going to have to select like the root note and if it's major or minor. And then if you're done with the search, you can click on Clear. So just to show you what I meant before, here you've got the key, so you would select, say, A, and then you press Control or Command. And now if we want to do the search with the keyboard and leave the mouse alone, we can use Control and F on Windows or Command and F on Mac. And you can see above that it's listed what the command is. That's also not new. And then if you want to search for a particular tag, you can use the hashtag. And then I'm just going to go for piano and keys, and then you can see you've got a list of things. There's some more things in there because I've created my own categories as well. So for example, I want to go to the piano sounds in piano and keys. So you also can see the subtags, press enter, and then if I wanted, I could also add any text. So for example, I want the upright piano, and now I get the selection and I can just click enter. And what is nice with the keyboard search is that you don't actually have to press clear in this case, but you can still use the escape and it's cleared again. So let's go through the biggest criticisms quickly. There's a lot of visual clutters with the amount of tags. So that means that on smaller screens, there's little space for the results, just the way it is. Then most folders are now gone, and some of us, me included, actually prefers folders over tags. Then if you have a lot of self-installing live packs, things get a lot more chaotic quickly, especially since lots of Ableton's own live packs are still untagged or partially tagged only. The user library needs tagging by the user, and then some of the tags are really subjective or confusing. Some things are mistagged, and with the amount of tags in some categories like the devices, there's often too much choice, and then at least to me, some of the tag results don't make much sense. Then it's impossible to remove tags, for example, to hide unwanted presets from packs or to retag mistag items. For example, for me, in samples, the drum kit shows up as a tag, which shouldn't be, because it should be just samples. And it is just samples, but the tag with drum kit. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run through what I wanted and needed from the browser to work for me. First of all, I needed it to be possible to remove tags from content to hide it, because I have a lot of packs, and there's in every single pack, there's at least some presets or samples or whatever that I don't like and I don't want to show up. Then I wanted to be able to get rid of individual tags, and that's not possible with the Ableton tagging system, same as with untagging something. then I wanted to have the tag results to always make sense to me and have everything that fits the chosen tags to show up and be able to trust and not have to try all kinds of tags or not have things show up at all because they're still untagged, which is the case with a lot of the content I have because a lot of the packs that I have, even from Ableton, are not tagged yet. Then I don't want synth presets showing up except for the bass category when I'm looking for like classical or orchestral instruments or something. But I wanted its own synth category. I don't want a delete category because to me, lead means just lead instrument. And yeah, that can be a synth. This is how it seems to be used. But it can also be all kinds of instrument. It could be a saxophone, whatever. I wanted less visual clutter overall so that I had more space for results and I could see all the tags available for categories at once. And I wanted tags to differentiate between audio and MIDI clips. This is not a problem that's new to Live 12. There has been something that's been bugging me forever. But with the tags now in Live 12, I can actually solve this problem. And I also wanted the tags for MIDI and audio effects separate, so not with under devices as Ableton have done that. Okay, so now I've recreated how I want the browser to look for me, and I'll just walk you through that quickly as inspiration and also while showing you features, how you can make it your own as well. So if you click up here, you can see the edit button, and then you can show or hide either parts of the color tags in the collection or also elements in the library. So I'm keeping the collections because right now I'm using them for tagging purposes as well, and later on I will most likely use them to have all my favorites listed in different categories and also to kind of prepare for like workshops or teaching. Then you can see here I've actually hidden the all under library, because when I've got this open, it's a lot of stuff, and I've always gone through the individual things. So if I want to have drums, I look under drums, instruments, and so on and so forth. And I've never used basically with the search function in Live 11 and before, you already had this all that turned up only at the bottom of the library for all the search results under, say, piano or whatever. Never used that, never really liked it, don't intend to use it. You could do the opposite. You could, for example, say like, well, I'm just going to use the tagging search and just keep it on all and maybe hide everything else, because you could, just use the tags for all the different categories to find the stuff that you want. Then I've also hidden audio effects and MIDI effects and grooves, tunings, and templates, because I don't use grooves. I haven't used tunings much. At the moment, I don't use very many templates either. If I want to use them in the future, I can change that. And then you can see here, instead of audio and MIDI effects, I've got saved searches. So these icons here show that they're saved searches, and you can simply save any search that you make. So for example, I could just search for piano and then click on the plus icon. You can also, of course, include tags either through just clicking on the tags or by adding them in the search bar with the hashtag. And then when you're done with the search and you find that useful, what you have there, and you want to make it available to use later on, you can click on this plus icon here and then you can name it. I can also rename that later. So I could do this, and you can see it's also taggable. So even if you want to keep it, but you don't want to have it visible all the time because you might have, say, 10 searches and it's cluttering up the space, you can keep them as saved searches, but you can make them hidden until you need them again. So I'm gonna remove that from the sidebar again. So if you end up not needing a search anymore that you'd saved, you can get rid of it. And if I click on done here, you can see they're actually ordered differently than they showed up when you could edit them. And all I've done is I've separated the live and Max for Live devices for the audio effects and MIDI effects categories, because I find it more useful, because this way, it's enough devices in the audio effects without the Max for Live devices in Suite. Just a quick note about the saved searches. Those appear to be static, so they're basically momentary So they're basically momentary snapshots. So if you add, say, new Max for Live MIDI effects or something, they would not turn up in this category here. So you would have to basically recreate that to make sure that new additions will turn up there as well. What also has been changed in the latest update is we got the plugins folders back. Then, if you look here, you can see that there aren't all the tags shown anymore. And you also see that there's another tag category called instrument presets, which is my own tagging. So if I click up here in the filters title bar, then you can decide which categories and tags you want shown. So you can see here I've actually gotten rid of quite a lot of them that to me don't make any sense. They don't add anything to me, because on the sounds, for example, I don't need to know that it's a preset, because on the sounds it should all be presets, and so on and so forth. And so if I quickly go through it, you can see I've basically moved all of these up just right underneath the tags. And so you can see it's a lot more easy visually. These are just the tags and it's easier to find. So to me, this is just kind of much quicker to kind of go like, oh yeah, I need this tag than before, because under all, it's just so many tags that to me, when I wanted to find something quickly, it was like, okay, where was this category? Oh, okay, this tag. So it just took a lot longer, and now it's easier for me to kind of find my way around. If you want to hide certain tag categories, you need to do this per library category. You can also do the same for packs and user library, and technically also for the current project, but that might not make much sense. And so here you can see I've untagged a lot. Okay, so next up we've got the tagging. So if you click on edit, you can actually change tags. So anything from up to the type category down to creator is Ableton's, and you can fold them up if you don't need them, like this. And you can create your own. So I've partially done that. I'm not finished yet. It's a work in progress. I've actually realized that the easiest way, because it's not at all overwhelming and you can just do it bit by bit, whenever you have half an hour of energy left in an evening, you can just go and then like, okay, I'm going to tag some things. So for example, let's say I'm going to start with this Breakbeats by Cut Master Kurt. And here you can see I've got a clips folder, a construction kits folder, and drums and samples folders as well. And so you can just take these and then you can just do, one pack at a time. Or what I've been doing is I've been ordering things in a list by category, and then I do, for example, all the drum kits and all the instrument presets, and then another time I'll do all the clips, part of them, and I keep track of what I've already done and haven't. And so it's not as overwhelming, and every week I finish tagging more stuff and things will be easier to find in the end. So I've decided to create my own tagging system to be able to hide content that I don't want to show up at all, because that's not possible with Ableton created tags, and it's still a work in progress. But the first thing I've done is I've basically recreated most of the sounds, but I've called it instrument presets, at least for now. I can still go in later and rename it. And I've kept the synth bass subtag, and instead for the rest I've created a synth category with subtags as well. And I've gotten rid of the lead tag, and I've created some others like glass, because that's what turned up while I was tagging packs, and also orchestra. That made sense to me. Then I've created a category for clip type, which is for audio clips and MIDI clips, so I can differentiate between them. And that was actually the first thing I've done. So I've gone into clips and just created a tagging category and the tags and not the subtags yet. And then went through all of the clips that show up for me and tagged them if they were audio or MIDI clips. And then once I started going through the packs individually, I also tagged them if there were, drums, guitar, bass, and so on. And I've also realized that I would like to have a pattern type, so if it's arpeggiated, chords, melody, or rhythm. So far I've only done that for MIDI. I might actually group that for the audio clips as well as a pattern type, or I might do that separately, I don't know. But you can always select things as a tag in here. So for example, if I go in and say arps, then all the arpeggiated MIDI patterns would show up. And if I want to change the tagging system, I could create a new tagging system where, for example, I combine audio and MIDI at the same time. And then for the audio effects and the MIDI effects, I don't need the individual devices tagged as Ableton have done that, which I think can be really useful for beginners. But for me, if I want a simple audio effect preset, or quite often I use the default and make my own settings, I will just go through the saved searches here. And instead, what I did was I made screenshots of all the folders in Live 11 for the different MIDI and audio effect racks. So for example, here I've got the MIDI effect racks. And so I've used those. They're not exactly the same anymore. I've put that in here. I think that might have been a test for something. It doesn't matter. And I did the same for audio effect racks. So I only need that for racks. There might be more tag groups that I will create in the future while I continue going through all packs. I don't know yet. As I said, it's a work in progress. Now let's get to how you can create your own tagging system. Basically, if you want to add your own tag group, then you can just scroll to the bottom, add group. We could say, I don't know, drum hits perhaps. That'll turn up alphabetically. If you don't want this, if you want your own order, I'd recommend adding numbers in front of them so you can order them that way. And then if I want to add a subtag, I can type drum hits, then the pipe symbol, and say kick. And I can continue this way. So this way you can create your own categories, tags, and also subtags. You can rename them anytime. You can also delete them. And if you want to use Ableton's tag system, you can also add on to things. So for example, let's say here with the sounds, you could create another tag called faves or favorites. And then you could also create subtags and say bass, and so on. So this way you could add things on, or if you realize that a category that you want doesn't exist, you could add that and tag things the way you want. So you don't have to keep it that way, and you can tag and untag things there as you want. The only thing is anything that's Ableton tagged, you can't change. So basically you're going to have to look at if the tagging system that Ableton have created makes sense to you, and if you want to use it that way, or if you want to maybe just add certain tags on to that, or if you want to create your own. Okay, and last but not least, let's have a look at where your own tags and tag categories and the content that you've tagged are actually saved, and how if you have two computers, you don't actually have to tag everything twice, how you can make it work for both computers at the same time. So let's just go through user library, show in Finder, and then here if I just click on the user library, you see an Ableton folder info folder, and the first thing you'll see in there is user keywords.txt, and if you click on it, this is where all your own tags that you have created in tag categories turn up. And then the actual tag content is in XMP files. You can actually open them with a simple text editor, and you can see it's basically like an HTML based format, and you can see, for example, take here, it's a pad, Natalia's Dream, and that is an instrument presets and pad where I've tagged it, and then also in synth pad. So this is basically where you find everything. The easiest way to actually have the tagging system for both computers is to use something like Dropbox or say iCloud or whatever, any cloud service where you can basically add the whole user library to Dropbox and then go into the preferences, and under library you would have to change the location of the user library to where the cloud folder is. And then it would be synced automatically. So if you tag something new or remove tags or whatever, then those would be synced between both computers. Alternatively, this is how I have set it up at the moment. I've got an external SSD drive, which is also where I have all the Ableton packs and lots of other things, and I can just move that drive from one computer to the next, and then the tagging would still exist for both. If you like this theme, this is actually included in the second theme set for Ableton Live 12. I'm going to link that above as well and in the description. You can download that and 11 other themes for free, or a small donation if you would like to say thank you. Well, that's it. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you have any ideas of topics you'd like me to cover in the future, please leave them in the comments as well. See you next time. Until then, bye.